Hello. This week's topic is toxic advice. The reason this is an important topic to me is that as I've gone through many years of depression and lots of healing, I've heard all kinds of advice along the way. And I wanted to point out some advice that people give that to me sounds toxic, but I understand the reason why people give this kind of advice. So I will break it down for you here. Number one is that we have to meet people where they are on their journey. And so when people have tried to meet me where I am on my journey, people have been aware that I am in a low place in my life. And this is okay. We can only be where we are. The only problem here is if people try to coddle us and keep us there. Sometimes there are friends who get along with us better when we're in a low place in our lives. And as we start to grow, we start to surpass them, and then they're uncomfortable with that. So I sometimes have experienced friendships where people tell me it's okay to be where you are, and there isn't any kind of a advice or any words of affirmation that I don't have to stay there. I can actually move up, that I can get to a better place. We tend to stay right there in the victim mindset, so to speak. And this can be very dangerous. So, as long as you're aware that wherever you are in your journey, of course it is okay, but just know that you don't have to stay there forever. There will come a point where you can move up. So don't allow anyone to coddle you into staying in a lower place. Howard Caesar, the former minister at Unity of Houston, used to say that it's okay to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Just don't pitch a tent there. So, of course, we're all going to walk through that valley of the shadow of death, some of us many times. But again, just know that there is hope. You don't have to stay there forever. Number two is people sometimes intellectualize our pain. And they do this by telling us that all you have to do is fill in the blank. When people are telling us that all we have to do is XYZ, people are trying to offer us some kind of formula to solve our problem. We really don't need a formula to solve our problem. Sometimes when we're talking to somebody, we just want a sympathetic ear to hear us out for a little bit because it helps us when we're able to share our experiences. We're often not looking for advice. And sometimes people are not comfortable with our difficult feelings. And this is why they may revert us to another path, which is go solve your problem by just doing this or that. So it feels like they're minimizing our pain, and that can feel toxic. So know that when people tell you this, they may be subconsciously trying to minimize your pain. It's not anything they're doing on purpose. But just know that if you're talking to someone who doesn't understand what you're going through, you'll know that the next time you want to talk, that might not be the right person to seek some kind of consolation from. We all deserve to be heard. And if we can't find people who will hear us out, of course, we always have the professionals, therapists who do listen to us unconditionally. And it's okay if you don't have any friends at all who have that capacity. I've mentioned in many other videos before that I'm a strong believer in therapy, and ultimately, sometimes that's the best option. Number three is the pseudo religious advice. God will never give you more than you can handle. And I understand where this is coming from, but I also don't agree with this because if you look at statistics, there are approximately 1 million people globally who take away their lives every year. Obviously, God gave them more than they could handle, or they perceived it as more than they can handle. We really don't know how much pain people can handle. And when people tell us this, It's another way to deflect our pain or to minimize it. Sometimes people don't know how to be there and sit with us as we're experiencing difficult feelings. And so they will throw out phrases like this to potentially quell our pain. And as I mentioned before, sometimes if you find that people give you these type of responses, that's another way that you can discern that these might not be the people that you want to share something so personal with. Number four, the other pseudo religious advice we get is everything happens for a reason. And again, that's not necessarily true. Some things might happen randomly, and we don't know why certain things happen. So, and again, the same as the prior example, people are not comfortable with our feelings. They just want to quell us so that we don't make them uncomfortable. So, this is one more way to discern who is a good listener and who is not. Number five, I call this a false comparison when people say, other people have it worse than you do. Well, it's true. At any given moment, we are all experiencing different levels of stress, different levels of pain, different levels of depression and anxiety. No two people are exactly at the same place at the same time in terms of these stressful events. But we're not supposed to compare ourselves with other people. And even if we could, it would achieve no objective. If someone's doing better than us, we might not feel great. And if someone's not doing better than us, we're not supposed to feel superior. It's actually completely irrelevant how other people are doing. So the best thing to do is, again, discern if people making these kind of statements are the right people that you would want to share your personal problems with. I want to remind you also that when people are saying statements like, well, others have it worse, the reason for that, again, is because the people who say this may not be comfortable with your difficult feelings and they don't know how to listen effectively. Number six is using a true statement to deflect pain. This is when people remind us of how blessed we are. I covered this entire topic in another video that will be linked in the description section. But in essence, just because we are blessed, that doesn't mean that we don't experience pain. When we experience pain, it's because of some challenge that we're going through. We may have had a trigger caused by our trauma. So being blessed and at the same time feeling sad is normal. You can't feel 100% blessed 100% of the time. We are human and we have multiple experiences in this body. It is very possible to have blessings and still experience sadness. Blessings do not erase suffering. And once again, I want to reiterate with number six, as with the other examples, the reason people make these statements is they don't know how to handle our difficult feelings. And so this is another way to deflect their discomfort and try to cover up those feelings that they're experiencing. I've also realized that there are additional reasons why people offer us toxic advice. Number one, they actually believe the distortions that they are saying. They truly believe that everything they're saying is true because they haven't had an opportunity to think about it in any other way. Number two, they may lack general awareness about the human condition. Number three, they simply lack life experience. And number four, they simply haven't had sufficient spiritual growth to give better advice. Now, with what I've explained now, that doesn't mean that younger people tend to give this kind of advice because they're inexperienced, they haven't had enough spiritual growth. Some people never reach their spiritual maturity. They could be in their 60s and 70s and still believe this type of advice. So, back to the topic of self care. Make it a practice in your self care to be careful, be very discerning about who you choose to allow in your very private circle. If for the moment all you have are friends that you can socialize with, that's okay too. Only have your friends to socialize with and a trusted therapist to speak to about your problems. You don't have to feel obligated to share very personal things if the people in your circle are currently not very mature. With time, you will also grow and mature, and you will attract more of the same kind of people with a similar mature mindset. As we get older, if we mature, we tend to attract more mature friends. As a reminder, self care requires a positive mindset. I invite you to read the 3 affirmations below from last week and pause as long as necessary to let them sink in. Repetition is important to allow them to become a part of our consciousness. I am worthy of receiving the best self-care. My self-care is a high priority to me. I give myself a high level of self-care. I hope that this week's topic has been helpful in helping you to discern about friends and who you could share your personal problems with. Thank you for tuning in this week. And as always, I send you love, light, and blessings.
Hi, my name is Rosalinda Martinez. I'm a retreat leader at Empowerment Light. If you'd like to get connected with more tools and resources to help you on your journey, please see my website in the description section. As always, like and subscribe if you like this video. Look forward to a new video every Tuesday.